Okay, so we're going to create a little animation here. We're going to animate shapes using masks. So what we're going to do is we're going to use the simple shape tween in this exercise. So shape tween makes it possible to morph one shape to another. Now remember, in a shape tween, it can only use a vector graphics. You cannot use groups, symbols, instances, or bitmap images. So we're going to learn how to create a simple shape in your animation with just using, simple movement with just using a shape tween. So what I'm going to do first off, you see that I have 3 layers here: a text layer, a flame layer, and a glow layer. I'm going to work on this flame layer and I'm going to animate it. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to select my keyframes. I'm going to select the last one and the first one, and I'm going to right click and I'm going to insert a frame. Now you notice that all the layers are visible on keyframe 40. But on the flame layer, I'm going to right insert, and I'm going to insert a keyframe. This is the layer that I am going to put in my shape tween. I'm going to lock this layer, the first one, the text one. I'm going to lock the glow layer. And somewhere in between the middle in this flame layer, I am going to put in a shape tween. Okay? And in keyframe 40, I'm going to create something different. I'm going to select it. I'm going to make sure that I have this selected on stage. I'm going to maybe make this look like the fire is glowing out. I'm going to also wait and change the shape of this later until I start putting in keyframes. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to go at 10 and I'm going to insert a keyframe. I'm going to do something different to it. I'm going to maybe change the color a little bit, maybe make it more red. I'm going to change the shape a little bit using this tool, the sub select tool. I'm going to just make a little movement here on this fire. I'm going to do the same thing, another keyframe, insert a keyframe. I'm going to select it, make sure it's selected out. Maybe make it more yellow, just kind of make this look like a fire. Select the sub select tool again, select the points. Make a little more alterations. I'm not going to go too crazy because sometimes that really can make your file distorted. I'm doing another one. It doesn't really matter where you put them. It'll make a difference at all. I'm going to select this image again. Change the color. Changing the gradient can make a big difference too in how your file looks. If you don't like, I don't like what I did, so I'm just going to do one undo. If you accidentally move your file, you want to undo that, because that's going to distort your file. Okay, so keyframe 40. I'm going to do something different with that one. Maybe move my image over here. Maybe make the frame go like that way. Okay, so let's just see what I have. Let's hit the return key. See, it's starting to look like a little bit of a flame. Just adding a few little things to this animation. It's kind of fun. So now we're going to do a little bit more on this. We're going to actually create a loop. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to select my first keyframe and I'm going to right click and I'm going to copy this frame. Just select right here, copy frame, and I want it to loop, so I'm going to put it back on keyframe 40 and I'm going to paste it. Now this will kind of create a loop. We're going to create a continuous loop here. So you're going to select this little button down here, this loop button right here. And now I'm going to bring this down all the way down. This is going to tell my file that I want this to play continuously. So let's just see how this looks. See what we're doing so far. Okay, it's looking pretty cool. Very simple, easy. It's continuously playing. It looks just like a little fire. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to actually create a movie clip. I'm going to create a movie clip on my frame layer here. I'm going to make sure I have my select tool selected. I'm going to try to select this layer out. And then I'm going to go up, because sometimes when you right click it doesn't always work too well. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go up to edit, and I'm going to go to my timeline, and I'm going to cut my frames. So don't worry, we're going to get them back. We're going to go timeline, cut frames. I'm going to insert a new, I'm going to go up and go insert a new symbol. Make sure it's a movie clip. You can call this anything you want. I'm just going to call it flame or fire. Okay, and then hit OK. Now you see it opens up to its own timeline. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to the keyframe here. I'm going to right click, and I am going to paste my frames. So all the frames that I did there, I'm going to make sure this goes all the way down the loop. As you can see, they're all here on my timeline. I've just created a little fire movie clip. So let me go back to my scene. Okay, now I have to bring it back out of my library. Okay, there it is. Let's just test this again. Well, we have our flame. We can use this over and over again now. We created a little movie clip for this. Now we already did the animating, all the different gradients and everything. So now what I'm going to do is I am going to create a mask layer for my text. So I'm simply going to unlock my text layer, which is right here. Now if you go over here in the beginning of the text layer, right here, you know, there's like a, looks like a little paper, and you double click that. I'm going to just call it mask. This is the layer that I'm going to mask. So you have to select this. A box is going to open up. It's right over here, and you just hit OK. Now I'm going to create a new layer. Let it go up on the top. And this layer I'm going to call fiery effects, or just effects. Doesn't really matter. Now I'm going to take this layer and I'm going to put it underneath my text layer. See how it indents? This is telling you now that this is the layer that's going to be masked. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're going to create a rectangle. I'm going to create a rectangle in the very beginning of this shape. I'm going to make sure that you know, I have all these colors, that I'm going to use the same colors. I make sure that there is no stroke. So I'm going to create a rectangle, but I don't want it to have this same effect. So I'm going to actually go over my color. You got to make sure you have your color palette open. I'm going to choose a linear color. I mean got to make sure it's selected. It won't select out. There. Okay. So now I can choose a linear color. All right. So in the very first one here, I'm going to make this red. I just kind of like going to bring this all the way down. Make this mostly red. Okay. Then I'm going to put a keyframe at keyframe 20. I'm going to insert a keyframe. At keyframe 20, I'm going to move this down. I'm going to move this down. I'm going to actually put another color. I'm going to put red in here. Creating like a little effect here. Okay. Then at keyframe 40, I'm going to insert a keyframe. And I'm going to make this red again, just like I did on the first one. I'm just going to bring it down a little bit. I'm not going to put the yellow down here. Kind of make it look like it's going out. We still want a little bit of the yellow. So in between here, I'm going to insert a shape tween. Alright, so let's see how this looks. Hopefully this is going to work. We're going to go control. We don't always know when we're doing this stuff, do we? There, how's that? Okay, so it's a very simple, easy little fun thing to do. If I was working on this for a client, I would probably spend a lot more time making sure that this fire image that we create a mask on is just perfect. But for the tutorial, this is fine. So just to give you an idea of how you can actually animate your file just using masks and using simple shape tweens. And this is the end of this one.